A nanny's confession of betrayal, a true tale. The memory of that moment when I stepped off the plane lingers vividly in my mind. The air carried a chill, a surprising coolness that caught me off guard. In the vast expanse of America, a realm where dreams take flight and opportunities abound. Yet, for me, it was a realm shrouded in ambiguity. I ventured away from my home, my loved ones, and all that was familiar in search of a brighter future. I held my mother's words close, nestled deep within my heart. Stand tall, tread wisely, and always hold on to your true self. The journey to find a job was fraught with challenges. My accent set me apart, and my hijab served as a reminder to others that I was unique. Some gazed at me with intrigue, while others regarded me with an emotion that eluded my understanding. Yet, I stood my ground and would not yield. Work was calling to me. Survival was my only option. Then, one fateful day, the universe conspired to grant my wishes. A family of 4 extended an invitation for me to join them as their nanny. It appeared to be an ideal setting, a haven to reside in, a reliable source of income, and little ones to nurture. From a young age, my heart has always been drawn to the laughter and joy of children. It seemed like the new beginning I had been longing for. Little did I know, a transformation was on the horizon, ready to reshape my existence. Once upon a time, there stood a house, magnificent and grand, basking in the warm embrace of sunlight. As I stepped through the door, a whirlwind of excitement and nervousness enveloped me. The first to welcome me was the wife. She moved with grace, exuding professionalism, and seemed perpetually pressed for time. With a handshake that conveyed strength and a smile that radiated warmth, she made an impression that lingered long after the meeting ended. Yet, I sensed she was a woman of many pursuits. Her priorities were firmly rooted in her work. "Welcome," she said, her voice a gentle embrace yet lingering just out of reach. Once upon a time, there were 2 little ones, aged 6 and 4. They crave a great deal of focus. "I trust you have a way with children." "Indeed, my lady," I responded gently. "My heart is filled with joy for the little ones." With a subtle nod, she pivoted to summon another. A moment later he entered the room, the husband. He stood apart from the rest. His presence enveloped the room, casting an unusual spell that stirred something deep within me. He stood tall, impeccably groomed, with a smile that radiated warmth and an irresistible invitation. He extended his hand, inviting connection. "Step into our abode. We are truly fortunate to have you with us." Our gazes intertwined, and in that fleeting moment, the world around me faded away, leaving only the weight of silence and the rush of my heart. I swiftly averted my gaze. "He's simply showing kindness," I reassured myself. Yet, within the depths, an unmistakable shift lingered. Time flowed swiftly by. I embraced my role, nurturing the children, tidying up, and ensuring that all was as it should be. She was seldom present in the house. Her work drew her away for the majority of the day, often extending late into the twilight hour. That meant I found myself sharing more moments with the husband. He lingered in the shadows, a constant presence, ever observant, forever grinning. Initially, it was merely an act of kindness. "You're doing a wonderful job," he would say, his voice flowing like a soft melody. "The little ones hold you dear." Once upon a time, there existed a collective, a group bound by shared experiences and dreams. "Thank you for your kindness." I would offer a nod and a smile, keeping my replies brief and to the point. Yet, his words lingered in my thoughts, echoing long after he had departed the room. Then arrived the subtle acts of kindness. A warm cup of tea appeared just when I felt weary. A blanket wrapped around me as I sat outside in the chilly evening air. A gentle gratitude floated softly through the air, a gentle murmur exchanged in fleeting moments. I whispered to myself that it was nothing at all. He was simply a gentle soul. Yet my heart began to turn against me. Anticipation filled the air as I lingered, eager for his words, yearning for the warmth of his presence. It began with small moments. Little praises. A joyful chuckle exchanged over a whimsical act by the children. The manner in which he would halt and observe me as I engaged with them, as though he were witnessing something that remained unseen by all others. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow in the room, I completed the last fold of laundry when he stepped through the door. Your contributions to this family are truly remarkable. Your presence is truly valued, and I trust you understand the depth of our gratitude for you. I gazed upward, my fingers gently clutching a meticulously folded shirt. Thank you, kind sir. Please, he said, a smile gracing his lips. Whisper my name into the air. Paused in thought. Seemed overly intimate, lacking formality. Yet I gave a nod. On a rainy afternoon, the world shifted in ways unimaginable. The little ones had drifted off into slumber. In the stillness of the house, a serene hush enveloped the space. As I stood in the kitchen, immersed in the rhythmic task of washing dishes, I sensed his presence as he stepped into the room. He lingered by the window, gazing at the rain, a glass of wine cradled in his hand. It's beautiful, isn't it? He said, his voice a gentle whisper. Typical. Gazed over to see. Indeed, my lord. He wore a smile. You need not refer to me in that manner. I took a deep breath, redirecting my attention to the dishes before me. It is time for me to complete my tasks. He drew nearer. You toil relentlessly. Have you ever paused to catch your breath? Compelled to chuckle. There's a never-ending array of tasks waiting to be tackled. He observed me for a brief moment, then gave a nod of understanding. Ah, you possess a unique spark, don't you? It's something truly remarkable. A tightness gripped my chest. I chose to remain silent. Wasn't able to. For within me, a truth lingered. This had transcended mere kindness. There I stood, teetering on the brink of something perilous. The rain whispered gently against the windows, weaving a delicate melody of nature's touch. A gentle cadence that enveloped the stillness of the home. The little ones had drifted off into a peaceful slumber. In the stillness of their room, the gentle rhythm of their soft breaths filled the air, the only sound weaving through the silence. As I completed the delicate task of folding their tiny garments, a sense of warmth enveloped me. My thoughts centered on the elegance of my craft. All was serene until I sensed him nearby. I glanced over to find him poised by the kitchen window, a glass of wine elegantly cradled in his hand. His gaze wandered, tracing the path of raindrops as they danced down the glass, each one telling a tale of its journey. In that moment, there was an unmistakable shift in him, a quality that set him apart. His customary playful demeanor gave way to a profound stillness, an intensity that spoke volumes without uttering a word. Do you partake in beverages? He inquired abruptly, pivoting to meet my gaze. I shook my head. Indeed, sir. He wore a smile, yet it lingered just shy of illuminating his eyes. You needn't refer to me in that way. I swallowed, feigning concentration as I busied myself with wiping the counter. It carries a sense of honor. With a tone that balanced reverence and detachment, he spoke gently. You are more than just the caregiver. You belong to this place. In that moment, I found myself at a loss for words. The soothing cadence of his voice sent a delightful shiver through my core. There was a part of me that yearned to see it as mere kindness, yet a deeper truth lingered within, whispering otherwise. There existed a deeper layer, a hidden essence waiting to be unveiled. A profound stillness enveloped us, punctuated solely by the soft whispers of the wind drifting beyond the walls. Just as I was about to step away, he called out, "Can we talk?" Stilled. What is it about? Once upon a time, there was a tale waiting to be told about you. About the effort you put in. Let me share with you the depth of my appreciation for you. His words danced through the air, sending a delightful shiver down my spine. I felt an overwhelming urge to flee, to escape the confines of the kitchen, and erase this moment from existence. Yet my feet remained firmly rooted to the earth. That night, slumber eluded me. I tossed and turned, my thoughts swirling like a tempest, replaying that moment in the kitchen again and again. His voice, his presence, hung in the air like an intoxicating secret, captivating all who dared to breathe it in. I reassured myself that I was simply overanalyzing the situation. He was simply showing kindness, expressing gratitude for my efforts. Yet, a different part of me, the one that lingered in the shadows of the night, understood that this was far from the truth. The way his gaze lingered on me, the gentle timbre of his voice as he uttered my name, it transcended mere kindness. It was a perilous affair. Something that set my heart racing and made my breath catch. I closed my eyes tightly, murmuring a quiet prayer. O divine presence, I seek your guidance. Kindly lead me away from the allure of temptation. Yet my thoughts turned a deaf ear. Instead, it meandered. As I reflected on his smile, I couldn't help but recall the joyous laughter that erupted when he engaged with the children. He had a remarkable ability to perceive the subtle nuances, like the moments when fatigue washed over me or when I longed for a pause. I loathed the very essence of my being for entertaining such thoughts. He had taken a vow of marriage. He possessed a wife who placed her trust in me, entrusting me with her children and her home. How could I ever permit these emotions to take hold? Yet, despite my harshest self-reprimands, the undeniable truth lingered, refusing to be brushed aside. His ability to evoke emotions in me was something I truly appreciated. As the days unfolded, the air between us crackled with an unyielding tension. I sought to elude his presence, immersing myself in tasks, constantly discovering something to tidy, to arrange, to keep my mind occupied. Yet, he consistently discovered a path that brought him close to me. One afternoon, as I was folding clothes in the laundry room, he suddenly appeared at the doorway. He stepped inside and remarked, "You never take breaks." I conjured a smile. There's a never-ending array of tasks waiting to be embraced. He lingered in silence, his gaze fixed on me, before finally taking a step closer. Your dedication to this family is truly remarkable. For me. I found myself caught in a moment, breath escaping me as if the air had turned to stone. This is my calling. It transcends mere employment for you, doesn't it? His voice flowed gently, like a secret shared in the quiet of the night. I averted my gaze from him. Should I dare to look, I was certain I would glimpse something in his eyes that I wasn't prepared to confront. You're one of a kind, he continued. Your concern is evident to me. What you offer. And I wish for you to understand that I recognize your presence. I bit my lip, my fingers tightening around the fabric in my hands, the tension building as the moment unfolded before me. Alas, my lord, it is not within our means. I understand, he cut in. I understand that it's not right. But share with me that you don't sense it either. My breath hitched in my throat. Experienced it. I sensed it in the quickening of my heartbeat, in the tingling of my skin. Tingled beneath his gaze. In the quiet of the night, as I lay awake, I sensed it deeply, reflecting on moments like this. Yet the words eluded me. To utter it would breathe life into it. And if it transformed into reality, there would be no way to retreat. I shook my head, gathering the courage to finally meet his gaze. In your life there exists a partner, a companion by your side. A tale of kinship. His jaw clenched with intensity. She's always absent. That does not alter the essence of what is right, and what is wrong. With a heavy sigh, he ran a hand over his face, the weight of the world evident in his gesture. I wish to ensure your comfort. I simply wanted you to be aware. As he began to walk away, a fleeting thought crossed my mind, that this would be the conclusion of our encounter. That he would take his leave. And thus, the perilous game we had embarked upon would come to an end. Yet, as he approached the door, he hesitated. Should you ever reconsider your choice? And then he vanished into the ether. I lingered in that moment, gazing into the vacant doorway, lost in thought. My heart raced within me. Relief should have washed over me. I ought to have expressed my gratitude that all remained well. Yet, what washed over me was a chilling sense of dread. Disappointment washed over me. And that was the moment I realized I had ventured too far into the depths of my own journey. Days flowed into weeks. And our cherished moments transformed into a familiar rhythm. It began quietly, with extended conversations, lingering gazes, and those unintentional brushes that neither of us chose to escape. The air grew heavy with unspoken words between us. Yet we both feigned ignorance, as if it were a shadow lurking just beyond our sight. Each morning, I whispered to myself that today would unfold in a new way. I would maintain my distance, keep my head low, and simply focus on my work. Yet, as the afternoon unfolded, I felt an irresistible pull towards him once more. A dialogue unfolds in the heart of the kitchen. A gentle smile graced his lips as he strolled past. A gentle gesture as he offered me something. Those moments were the essence of my existence. And I loathed myself for it. It was as if I found myself ensnared in a tangled web of emotions that I never sought out. With each prayer, I sought the fortitude to carry on. With each gentle flutter of my eyelids, his visage danced before me. One evening, as I gently tucked the children into their beds, a soft sound of footsteps echoed behind me. I glanced over to see him there, observing me intently. "They hold you dear," he expressed. I gulped. "They capture the heart effortlessly." His gaze grew tender. "Indeed, you are." In that moment, I realized this had transcended mere play. This was an experience that transcended the ordinary, reaching into the profound. And it filled me with dread. As our moments together unfolded, I began to sense a deeper connection to that house, not merely as a laborer but as something far greater. He filled my heart with a sense of significance, a feeling of being cherished and essential. One day, he returned with a little treasure just for me. A bracelet, simple in design, yet delicate and beautiful in its essence. With a simple gesture, he expressed his gratitude as he placed it in my hands. With a moment of pause, I weighed my decision before reaching for it. "I do not ponder." "Please," he interjected. "You are worthy of it." I grasped it, sensing my heart betray me once more. He was transforming me. I no longer viewed him as the spouse of my employer. In my eyes, he was the one I desired, the one who longed for me in return. I reassured myself that I wasn't stepping into her shoes. Yet, beneath the surface, I was aware of the truth. I began to change my style. Adorned in the hues he once expressed fondness for on my person. I observed his habits closely, committing to memory the way he preferred his coffee, the manner in which he would run his hand through his hair when fatigue set in. As I found myself descending into a realm fraught with peril, I sensed the weight of the unknown closing in around me, a thrilling yet treacherous journey awaiting just beyond the horizon. Was never mine. Yet, I found myself reluctant to bring it to an end. And then, the moment arrived. One evening, as the children drifted into slumber and the rain danced against the windows, he discovered me in the kitchen. He lingered by the window, a glass of wine in hand, observing the droplets dance down the surface of the glass. "Do you partake in beverages?" he inquired, his voice rich and welcoming. I shook my head, my heart pounding with anticipation. "Absolutely not." He set the glass aside and moved in closer. "May we engage in a conversation?" I ought to have turned my back and left. I ought to have whispered in his ear, a gentle nudge to recall the love waiting at home, the family that cherished him. Yet I remained. He extended his hand, brushing my arm with a tender touch. "Speak the word and I shall cease." I parted my lips, yet silence lingered in the air. His touch seared my skin, awakening a fire within me that I had battled fiercely to keep at bay. Before I realized it, our lips intertwined. It began with a gentle pace, filled with uncertainty. Then, the gnawing emptiness consumed all else. He swept me off my feet, cradling me as he made his way to the bedroom. His space, their space. As his hands explored every contour of my being, I softly shared my trust. The beliefs that guide my life. Yet, those words slipped away into the darkness. That night marked the onset of a tempest that neither of us could quell. It was not merely a single night. It was more than a mere error. Transformed into our hidden gem, our cherished ritual. In the early hours, the air was thick with unspoken words and fleeting looks. Afternoons filled with whispers that remained long after. And nights filled with a fervor that enveloped us entirely. I became completely enveloped by him. My heart longed for his touch, his words, the way he made me feel as if I were the sole woman in existence. Yet, with each dawn, a relentless guilt gripped my heart. Guilt wove itself into the fabric of my days, never leaving my side. Each time his wife addressed me, each time she expressed her gratitude for my care of her children. A heavy weight pressed down on me, making it hard to breathe. I turned my gaze away from her. I turned away from my own reflection. I steered clear of contemplating the reality that lay before me. Yet, the weight of guilt could not hold me back. Not when he gazed at me as if I were the center of his universe. One fateful night, I stirred from slumber, my mind still entwined in a dream of him. My body ignited with embarrassment, my heart weighed down by remorse. I perched on the edge of my bed, my palms pressed firmly against my face. This must come to an end, I murmured softly to myself. Yet, as dawn broke the following day, I laid eyes on him. He merely needed to grin for my determination to break. Everything unraveled the moment I noticed the way his wife looked at me, a gaze that held a different story altogether. A delicate moment lingered in her greeting, a fleeting hesitation danced across her smile. There was a spark in her gaze that sent a shiver through me. She was aware. Though she lacked evidence, a deep-seated conviction stirred within her. A wife possesses an uncanny ability to sense when something is amiss. It was time for me to depart. That night, I found myself outside, adrift in a sea of contemplation. He discovered me in that moment, worry etched across his face. "You've been distant," he remarked. "What seems to be the trouble?" I drew in a sharp breath. "I am at my limit with this." His expression shifted, the tension in his jaw becoming palpable. "Refrain from uttering those words." I rose to my feet, compelling myself to be powerful. "I must take my leave." He extended his hand toward mine, his grasp steady and strong. "Remain." Emotions welled up, stinging my eyes. "I am unable to do that." The following day, I submitted my resignation. His wife looked at me with wide eyes, curiosity bubbling up as she inquired about the reason behind it all. Sharing with me that I belonged to their family. I found myself without a response that wouldn't lead to my own undoing. As I gathered my belongings, I set the bracelet he had gifted me upon the nightstand, a silent reminder of that unforgettable evening. I strolled. Departing, burdened solely by my remorse and the unforgettable lesson etched in my mind. I had ventured into uncharted territory, and some paths once taken could never be retraced. I believed I had persuaded myself that departing was the wisest decision. That I could turn my back and leave it all behind. Yet, on the eve of my departure, a curious child posed a question that lingered in the air. That almost shattered my spirit. "Will you be departing from us?" Her voice carried a delicate quality, pure and untainted. Her wide eyes sought mine, yearning for reassurance, for comfort. I took a deep breath. What prompts such a question? With a delicate touch, she played with the hem of her dress, her small fingers twisting the fabric in a dance of nervous energy. For the reason that your smile has faded away. And you no longer share laughter with Daddy like you used to. The heaviness of her words settled upon me, a burden as solid as a stone pressing against my heart. I had allowed myself to transform. An integral part of this family. And she had observed the change within me. For a fleeting instant, I toyed with the idea of weaving a falsehood. I assured her that I was here to stay. That things would remain unchanged tomorrow, just as they are today. Yet that would be unkind. Instead, I conjured a smile and gently tucked a strand of her hair behind her ear. My heart will forever hold a place for you. Regardless of the circumstances. She remained in the dark, and I hoped she would always stay that way. On the eve of my departure, I found myself in my room, gazing at the bags I had meticulously packed. With each breath I drew, a profound ache settled deep within my heart. He approached me for one final encounter. "Please, don't do this," he murmured softly. "Remain." I shook my head, tears cascading down my cheeks. "We are both aware that this chapter must come to a close." He drew nearer, his hands extending toward me. "My heart is filled with affection for you." I shut my eyes, allowing those words to settle within me one final time. I had envisioned the sound of their voices, yet now they only echoed with sorrow. In your life there exists a partner, a companion by your side. Once upon a time, there was a bond that transcended time and space, a connection woven through laughter, tears, and shared memories. This bond was known as family. You are not mine to claim. His fingers danced along my cheek. Yet I yearned to. I drew back, gathering every bit of strength that remained within me. Indeed, you do not. You merely believe you do. With a sharp exhale, he ran a hand through his hair, a gesture steeped in unspoken tales. I cannot bear the thought of losing you. I gathered my belongings and moved gracefully past him. You have already done so. I stepped out, leaving the past behind me, my gaze fixed ahead. Even as I caught the sound of his sharp intake of breath. Even as I sensed his gaze searing into my back. Even when my heart lay in fragments. I took a different path, not heading directly home. Wasn't able to. In that moment, I discovered myself in a serene park, perched upon a wooden bench, gazing up at the vast expanse of the sky. My thoughts drifted to my mother. In the quiet hours when she clasped my hands, she spoke of an infinite mercy, assuring me that no error was beyond the reach of forgiveness. But could I find it in my heart to forgive myself? I shut my eyes and softly spoke the words that had lingered in the shadows of my heart, too timid to escape my lips until now. I apologize. Apologies to the wife who placed her trust in me. Apologies to the little ones who held affection for me. Apologies to my own spirit for permitting my heart to guide me down paths I should have avoided. Emotions flowed unrestrained. But for the first time in months, they weren't tears of guilt. They flowed like a river of liberation. The path to forgiveness was bound to be a challenging one. Yet, I had embarked on the journey. And that was sufficient for the moment.